we've heard Trump espouse for years now this America First policy. But his true North Star isn't America First. Is that country first, like our dear party colleague John McCain? No, his Trump no matter the cost. Okay, he's getting set up on the stream, just hang out. Some bad racing weather, not bad racing, bad weather for racing. So, we'll see how this goes today. Looking at both Oaklawn and Fairgrounds, not pretty so far. All right, trying to figure out how to tweet this out, which I can never seem to remember how to do. Here's some of those reactions. Following the attack, Representative Dusty Johnson expressed concerns that we had gotten to the point where so many of us had sown seeds of anger and division. We were barricaded, and there was some fear, to be sure, but overwhelmingly the emotion that I experienced was one of anger. I just could not believe that this was happening. I could not believe that we had gotten to this point where so many of us had sown these seeds of anger and division. We had built this powder keg, and really we were starting to see this powder keg light up, and it was, frankly, I was furious. Representative Jason Crow compared the events. And then Twitch just crashed. Cool. Not much luck. I figured out how to do it, and then it crashed on me. Let's write something cheeky. Alright. His experience on January 6th, he described the events as surreal as they unfolded here in Chapel. It was something that I just never thought. I just never thought I'd see this in I think I did that right. Alright, sorry, just getting this tweet sent out that we're live. It's 10 minutes, the first at Oaklawn and Fairgrounds. Pretty rough conditions in both tracks, so you'll see how long we stay on the stream today. Just with the weather, how long they end up racing. Hopefully they'll get to race, but it looks pretty grim, so we'll see. All right. And then just in terms of, playing today, it's kind of rough with the current sequence of racing. Thought about playing the pick 5 at Oaklawn, so I thought maybe there were some clever ideas in the middle of the sequence, and then Scratch just kind of interfered. So I'm going to pass on that. Yeah, 10 minutes. They're not quite showing the track yet at Fairgrounds, but I don't know. We'll see. Already had one scratch out of the second race. That's kind of a newer scratch, at least it seems. So we shall see. Chat, I hope you guys are doing well. I hope you're staying warm. Is anybody in an area that has bad weather? I think we've been snowing here to some degree for like over a week straight. Snowing again, like right now. So it just kind of seems like the trend all over. So hopefully you guys are staying safe, staying dry, getting some racing, even though it is kind of slightly impacted at the moment. The horses that I do prefer. We shall see. 9 minutes. Yeah, they're just showing the track right now at Fairgrounds, at least from the paddock. I can't have the sound on, so I don't know what's kind of being said right now, but coming down pretty solidly from what I can see out there. And, the weather reports early on was kind of like, doesn't seem to be any clear in sight, so we shall see. Anyways,
we can talk some handicapping in the meantime, just with like 10 minutes to post in these races. So again, I was looking at the pick 5 there, but we can kind of start back. Race 1 at Oaklawn. It's a pretty small field, and not the most exciting group, because we're dealing with the maiden claiming company. I have like I'm kind of like halfway listening to the impeachment in the background. So if you guys can hear that background noise, that's what's going on. But yeah, the first race here at Oaklawn, a maiden claiming race, and you can just kind of see like right off the bat, even before I pull up the grid, dealing with layoffs, which is kind of tough at this condition. Having a maiden claiming horse kind of like quote unquote ready off the bench, especially with some of those that have had races in the past, a little bit on the slower side. You can just kind of see like 4, 5, 6, lower optics figures. And then just kind of stands out 2 and 3, which happen to be the favorites right now. So that's not exciting. Not the worst place to take a swing with a first time starter, but not getting much value on that front either. So I don't know, kind of a tough one to play first out at Oaklawn. But I do want to just kind of go through the race. They're at least walking out on the track right now. The first time starter, the 1A, is currently 7-2. The 2 is a favorite at 9-5, which I think is fair. She's making her fourth start. I'm sorry, second start off the layoff. Kind of showed some run back at Woodbine, kind of late summer, fall, and then last time out she was wasted, which means like the horse is on the track just kind of like it says, wasted, like wasting a lot of energy, which kind of often translates into their activity pre-race. So even with that noted, still ran a B- in that fourth place finish. So a competitive race for the level. McKnight has been kind of cold to start off, so we'll see if kind of some of those horses start to kind of pick up a little bit and run. But seems logical to me. As far as the 3, she's had that fair share of layoff lines. We're gonna go back to the dirt, but it's a massive class drop. Barkley's another trainer he's been sending out live runners, so just kind of hard to knock from that perspective that she has the speed figures on par, making the class drop, seems as good of a spot as any. Does break slow, does not have much early speed, but again, when you're dealing with the class drop, it's not going to be as severe, even if she does break slow, which I think it's probably fair to assume, to kind of be able to recover when you're against lesser company, with all due respect, than it is at a higher level. The 4, 5, and 6, again, I talked about them coming off layoffs and just being slow. Yeah, maybe because crazier things have happened off track, but just from a logical standpoint, it's a little bit tough to get there. The 6, it kind of looks on paper maybe taking a class drop, but if you look at the optics figure range, it's kind of more of a lateral move. There were some races back here that were a little bit higher, probably running like C pluses is my guess. The 7 has just had so many tries at this level. Last time out, we can certainly project improvement because she was wide and no push means the rider didn't ask for run. So certainly some upside there, but again, 4-1, I don't know. And then the one we talked about, first time starter, seems kind of a logical spot. They had her entered on the 29th, so just a few days ago in a similar condition. So kind of seemingly, have her ready to go, sort of in the right spot to compete, all that stuff. So, probably pass here. I just can't get excited about anything and can't get excited about anything at a price, like for or against. So, sort of an easy race to just kind of move on from. And part of the reason, playing the pick 5, it's like I would probably single the 2, but it's, kind of tough to just have confidence on that front. It's 4 minutes at Fairgrounds, but they're still kind of in the paddock. So I think, again, I don't have the sound on because I don't want to get in trouble. So maybe there's a type of delay or something. If Chad, if you guys are listening, like kind of cue me in on that stuff because I have the sound off, and it would be much appreciated for this. So in the meantime, we'll go back. We'll go back to Oaklawn. I mean, the 2 looks, as good as anything on the plot, right? Has enough tactical speed, should be able to sit kind of right off, get first run, can finish, has that closing kick, all that stuff.
Oh,
I was even kind of debating, like, with the weather and with the racing, like, to go live today, but I think it's good in some ways just to keep the schedule. If I end up jumping off early, kind of so be it. I'm not planning on going live tomorrow, but I don't know. I might. Just kind of depends on how the racing goes, how the weather's going, and all that stuff. Planning on doing like all 13 on Saturday at Fairgrounds, just like a massive like all day type streaming deal. But now that Oaklawn's canceled, and then Santa Anita doesn't start until later, and all that stuff, and then I don't know. It's because I'm following those stories. It just turns into a really long day. I don't know. So I'm maybe just gonna do the second half of the card. Haven't quite decided. Gina's supposed to jump on, which is fun. We just recorded the podcast on That's What G Said, talking about those races, and he and I have been kind of following those kind of fairgrounds stakes races kind of all season. So it's kind of cool. It's like a series basically at this point. This is like the third part of the fairgrounds series of handicapping. Those stakes races, but it's good racing. Both the 3-year-old races, the Rachel Alexandra is probably, I think I'm maybe a little bit more excited about that race in a way because there's a couple good fillies in there, and it being kind of the big points race for the Oaks, just to kind of see where they are coming back in the sophomore season, and then kind of some improvement from the races that they've run this season. So I just think in terms of that race, it's a little bit more telling. The Risen Star is a good race as well. But there's a lot of horses in there that are just kind of below. And so, I mean, they're interesting from like the race shape standpoint, but just in terms of contenders, it's kind of hard to see a lot of contenders in that race, but we'll jump up. Will be interesting to see how the Cassie filly runs. Hopefully they're right. Yeah, 100%. Yeah, Super Sensational had like, zero chance with that. I mean, just taken back, was in traffic. There was like no pace signed on. She ran a really good race, like all things considered. I kind of expected there to be a rider change, to be perfectly honest. But, I think being drawn inside again, not making the same mistakes twice, should be able to show some tactical speed. Doesn't have to like need the lead, but should be able to kind of sit off, some of the sprinters, some of the cheaper speed that's drawn outside, maybe get a first run type situation. So I agree. I think she has a move forward, and she's going to get a test today. I think it's just kind of, like I said, one of those horses that's going to be sort of in a good spot to find out, who they are and like where they're going forward. I'm going to try to like do the notes here while I'm doing this race. So right now, the first-time starter's dealing with a 5 being one of those layoff horses. The 2 that McKnight, second start of the meet, is kind of being pushed along. She's chasing inside. It's like, I'm not going to call it a pocket trip, but she's, the first on the inside. 7 is wide. The 3, the Barkley horse that's dropping, just made a move. She looks like the biggest threat at this point, so good thing I didn't start this singling off the 2, that's for sure. The 5 is starting to drop out. The 3, takes that move. 1, trying to battle on, but I mean, at this point, it doesn't seem like much is going to close behind her. 2, subtle, best of the speed on the no lead. 2, kind of starting to grind along. 4 kind of starting to pick it up from behind, but kind of much the best sort of like they knew to kind of start it out. She just like crushed that field on the drop down today. Yeah, big blanket back to the rest. Five, was that 5, 6, 7 are all kind of like off the pace. Gotta grab the notes computer. Yeah, so first time starter, kind of staying on best of that set. Still just not getting much run from those McKnight horses. And then the 5, first to quit, 6 and 7. Those were the ones, right? Where those kind of lay off. Oh, the 7 was one that was like had all those chances. That's right. So yeah, pretty logical result in that race. Okay. Well, now that they've printed on the screen, chat, not letting me know what's going on at Fairgrounds, there is a delay. So I don't know. We shall see on Fairgrounds, which I guess that's fine because now that'll give me time to do notes at Oaklawn. At least plug these in. I don't know if you guys hopefully didn't hear that on the background, but I'm actually surprised. Like I said, I have the impeachment trial on in the background. I'm like halfway listening to it on the C-SPAN, and they're like playing the video and didn't edit it at all. So I was like not expecting to like hear a couple of my favorite words come out of the television. So I don't know what I'm worried about. This channel allows to swear, so it's fine. What was I talking about? Risen Star? Yeah, so Risen Star, like I said, I think it's a good race. A lot of horses just kind of below, but should kind of help make the race shape. And then a couple of those horses that are kind of more contender types, I think it's probably good for them to have that full field and have to deal with the different dimensions in the race. I mean, it's horse racing, anything can happen, but, if you're making kind of logical cases, they're tough, a little bit tougher to get to. I am interested in, so the Diodoro horse is Scratched, who I think is a good horse. I'm sorry, I'm spacing on the name. It's the 12, whatever. It's like a bunch of words that's all like pushed together. I think he's fine. I think he's a good horse. Oaklawn's closed this weekend. Yeah, Saturday through Monday. They were gonna run, the holiday program on Monday, but they've like canceled already for Saturday, Sunday, and Monday. Bummer, I know, because there was good racing there. So, what they're doing with those races, they're gonna just like pack them on next weekend. So it'll be in like 11 races, something like that. Yeah, so the Diodoro horse, I thought, again, I think he's fine. I just was like not crazy about him at a short price. Just because it's the layoff and coming back and had the outside post. I mean, it just, there was a logical type horse. There was no real strong case against his chances or against him as an individual in that spot. Just, with the layoff and kind of all things combined, just not an exciting time to take a short price. So Mandaloon, I thought he ran fine last time out. I know he's a big favorite. I know there was some chatter. People were like, oh, he's, no good, whatever. That day was just weird with the slow paces. He had a wide trip, and I thought he ran as well as the winner, Midnight Bourbon, who was able to kind of get the lone lead and be able to save ground. And just kind of get the kind of perfect trip on the track that day, just really smart handling. So, between those two, I thought it was pretty much an even effort. And then Proxy split them in second, who I'm just not a fan of that horse. I mean, I know he sticks around, he gets checks, all that stuff, but just visually, he's drifting out, he doesn't change leads, things that are like when horses start improving, and distance is getting longer, it's like, when's he going to figure that out? So until that happens, I can't get excited about him, and I just haven't, got there yet. Estimating 130 now for the first fairgrounds. Thank you for the update. Yeah, so hopefully, they think the rain's gonna stop by then. Wishful thinking. Gonna change the viewing on here. And in the meantime, we can go to the second at Oaklawn. Looks like the 2 and the 4. Kind of based on the doubles are going to be pretty close. I mean, I can't knock 2 or 4. Going back to the first race, I mentioned like the 3 typically does break slow. She did break a little bit slow, but like I kind of expected with that class change, it was like not as dramatic as when she was running against much tougher. Still noted, because if she does step up in class, that will be exposed a little bit more than it is today. But in terms of the track, I mean, the track at Oaklawn listed as muddy. It seems fair. Do you guys see otherwise? I mean, I know it's just one race, but I've mentioned this before. I just think Oaklawn, I don't know what it is, if it's that track surface or the maintenance or the combination of both, but they just do such a good job, like keeping that track like balanced. Almost all the time, but like with the bad weather, and it's hard to do. At least, I mean, I don't know personally if it's hard to do. The fuck if I've ever like maintained a track. But I'm just saying, like, from the perspective of like watching a lot of races, especially when things go off, it's like you start seeing like, speed or inside or outside, whatever. And it seems pretty even with the horses and with the results. Everybody's on break. They're going on break on the hearing, so mute that. All right. can go back to handicapping. So, like I said, looking at the doubles, the 2 and 4 would probably be pretty close. The 4 is 5-2 right now. The 2 is 3-1. The 3 is 7-2, and the same with the 1. I'm going to use the... it's kind of a big filter. Do I need to go that big? Probably not. So the 1, Scarlet Position, she's going to make her second start of the meet, first start off the claim. Some live connections this meet. It is a step up in class. Good race last time out. Broke slow, made a wide move. As you can see in the notes, late run to finish in the blanket for minors. It was a best of the speed winner. So a little bit of an upgrade just from the perspective that, the race was won forwardly placed. Pretty strong race. Fast, the F. So for fast, the pace figures here, and they came home fast. So pretty strong race, but still big step up, today, going from 10 last out to open 20. The optics figure range last time out, 84 to 76. Today, 83 to 91. So she's in there and has the 88, but is going to have to run an improved race. The 2 coming back off the layoff, so this is the one co-favored right now. Certainly could have a pace advantage in here off the layoff, making a drop. So probably some positive intent from that perspective, but we are dealing with a short price and a layoff. And it does seem like there is other speed in the field, right? The 2 can get pressed by the 7, the 4 based on current form. We'll kind of see. So the 4. Another one coming back off the layoff, does have early speed, first start. Another one that's a little bit subtler step up in class, but still kind of noted. Perhaps some upside on the 5, making her second start. She's going to come back in 12 days, so that's sometimes a signal, at the start of the meet. Given her a race, she was protected last out in a starter allowance race, now running for a tag. Speed figure wise is maybe a little bit light. Let me get a bigger sample. Does have some races last season that are competitive with almost kind of a similar pattern. Save ground, had some traffic. So certainly capable and probably a little bit better than what we see on the plot. When she runs her good race, could get in there. Tends to do okay when there's a fast pace too. What's our contention? A sun and a 58. So that that helps out the 5 a little bit in terms of a trip. What's that number? 9. All right. The 6, it's kind of a maybe similar to the 5, but maybe a little bit less. Yeah, she's a little bit below. Last season was running in some lower claiming races and coming off the layoff. So it might be a prep for her and then a drop. So with the 7, same thing, similar pattern. Ran in that January 30th race. Had a tactic minus. So not a good ride, moved up early inside, timing was off, and that was that open length, pace setting winner, hit the fast. Does project to show speed, as shown on the plot, kind of sending here. Speed figures are a little bit light, and first off the claim as well. Let's see, not taking any money. So that's kind of negative. Especially with the pace scenario where she's going to kind of hook up. And I'm going to guess that with the 4, what is this saying at Fairgrounds? First race delayed still? Okay. No change. All right, back to the 4. That the 4 will probably try to be forwardly placed. Kind of seems like that's the way she wins. You guys see that? Gets perfect trips, but forwardly placed on soft paces. So I would imagine they don't really have much option but to kind of send in there, which maybe, you know, it's a little bit more like this. Sets up for the 3. No, wrong selector. 3 is currently 9-2. The 3 makes sense. But the 3 is another one that wants to kind of be forwardly placed, not necessarily a tracking type trip. She's younger though, so at least there's some upside. A little bit tough to trust. Let's look at the 2. Definitely forwardly placed. I mean, the 4 just might just be best of the speed, because at least she can take pressure. And going back to these races here, she doesn't need to be on the lead to win. So the 2 just might be the way to go. I feel like it's a little stabby to try to go 2 and then leave out the 3 and the 4 to get to the 5. That seems a little bit stabby, and I don't want to play. I'm not going to play 2 over 3, 4, and I'm probably not going to bet the 2 straight. So the only combination that seems fun is 2, 5, and that's probably a stretch. So I'm gonna have to see what that's paying. Otherwise, it could just be another pass. Actually, maybe not. Because the 3rd race, let's see. Still delayed at fairgrounds.
Speed.
The 3rd race, let me pull that up, is where I wrote up for circles and squares, if you guys check that out at all. And I think there's some options in there with the 4, who looks like has a pace advantage. And I made a case for the 6 kind of being kind of a lone closer and the barn starting to heat up. The 4 is actually going to be favored according to the double, so boo on that. All right. The 6 will be a price though. Yeah, the 2-4 double is $8, so that's not playing. The 2-6 is 118. That's an option. The 2-5 double is exacta is 38. I'm gonna have to see. I wonder if the delay at fairgrounds is less to do with the rain, and I wonder if there's like thunder and lightning. Let's see. Maybe Twitter has an answer for us. So we'll wait, I guess, 9 more minutes and find out if that delay turns into something more or not. It's such a bust right now. Man, look at this first race at Fairgrounds. I mean, I think there were. I feel like this is probably wasted energy, but whatever. What else are we going to do? First race at Fairgrounds. The 5 is currently favored, which, from off the pace, big square, has improvement from last time out. It's a big drop in class. Certainly makes sense. Just a matter of, taking a short price with the horse that comes from off the pace. Let's see, though. Yeah, she breaks, or he breaks slow quite a bit. So that is, you are looking at a confirmed kind of deep closer from that perspective. A couple of these other horses. The 6 had a complete excuse last time out. It's going to return to this condition. Had an excuse, tactic move, trouble plus, no push. Still finished 4th. On hold early, started to make movement in the far turn, was stopped cold behind another runner, not asked afterwards. So, overall, I mean, one that's tough to get excited about. Last win back in the spring of 2019, but 14-1. Looks fine on the plot. Actually looks quite okay on the plot. Because the quadrant 1 is pretty light with just the 2, who we're going to have to look at next. So maybe the 6 can just sit right off the 2 and has finish according to surface distance. Yeah, a little interesting. The 7 was also an improve. I think that this is a good spot for the 7 as well. It's currently 10-1. Open length, best of the speed chalk winner with the field spaced out behind. Not the best ride, made a move, improved. It's the 4th start off the layoff. We're seeing some improvement and just kind of seems at the right spot at this level to compete. So the 7, makes sense to me at 10-1. And again, the 5, like I mentioned, the drop has races that fit. But dealing with trip is tough at a short price. I was going to look at the 2. So the 2 came off the layoff, ran at the N2L, won. 1 is the best of the speed, but looked like it'll regress off that effort. Did back up off that effort. Did step up. The 5,000 N3L was the first to quit, but that makes sense with the regression. Just the thing is going to have to improve off this 70 probably. Capable. Has a 73 back here. Could certainly just have the pace advantage. We don't know what this track is going to be. Maybe that's just, it can't pass. So certainly makes sense. 7-2, that's fair enough. 1, same thing in terms of trip, but there's some upside on the 1. 3rd start off the layoff, ran a 73 here with trouble starting save, and then last time out, and that was in that best of the speed chalk winner. Getting a rider change. Probably going to show more speed. Keying up this race. And again, this was sprinting. That was the open length winner. So inconsistent though. Ooh, breaks slow. Yeah, that's tough. I mean, not impossible, but you definitely need the right number. Need the right number there. All right. We'll go back to Oaklawn while we still have the delay. Maybe that's for nothing. There we go. All right. Well, the 2 is a second choice. But still, I don't think that's doing much for the doubles or that exacta. 2 minutes to Oaklawn. 129 in Fairgrounds. Seems like that delay is going to continue because they're still in the paddock. And it does still look like the rain is coming down. Maybe I just follow the wrong people, but I'm not seeing any updates on Twitter as far as what's going on at Fairgrounds. I think I follow some Fairgrounds people that should be able to update what's going on, but, horses are starting to go back? No, they're out of the paddock. What are they doing? Uh-oh. Cancel? Horses look like they're heading back in. I mean, like for good. I agree. Like, why stand out there? But I don't know. All right. In the meantime, we'll get distracted by this second race here. So, Stu ended up being a favorite. Let me go back to the. Oh no, we're up. We're up on the plot. All right, cool. Their social media is lacking, to be nice. I know, right? Like, give us some updates. Like, it's so weird because I get it. Like, everyone wants to like make sure it's like official information before releasing it, but at the same time, like, we're just sitting here like, is this a half day of work for me? Like, what am I doing today? Couple messes at the start. Looks like the 6 broke slow. The 7 did as well, but it's kind of getting pushed out there as expected. The 4 as expected. The 2 not as expected, not showing speed at all, getting a little bit wrangled off. Don't know what the plan was there, but okay. They kind of just gifted this for the race at this point. The 3 is tracking, the 1 is tracking, 2 is inside, 5 chasing right outside, and the 6 after breaking slow, stalking off the pace. 7 already fading, 3 trying to move up, 1 is trying to move up, but that 4 getting lone is like game over. 5 is late changing leads, as kind of always, trying to move up. What a bust. All these races. Alright. That's like the same, like the field looks exactly the same at the finish line between race 1 and race 2. Not much gallop out on the 4. Not crazy about that one right back. Like, literally, that race was over right from the start. Like, as soon as the 7 broke slow, and I'm gonna have to look and see what happened with the 2. Maybe there was some trouble at the start that I didn't grab, like, all of it. But, once that happened, and the 4 got the easy lead, and this is gonna look so impressive on paper because of how clear she is, but she's in a drive right now. Like, there's not much more to be asked. I know she's clear, starting to gear down a little bit, but no. From like lone winner. see it now. Fairgrounds announcing the cancellation of today's card. Yeah, I can see it on there. Yeah, I mean, it makes sense. It's 30 minutes. Doesn't look like there's any clear in sight. They're running Friday, Saturday, no Sunday. So Friday, Saturday, and then Monday, Tuesday, and then next week picks back up Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday. So, that's that. All right, I'm gonna stick around for one more race. This third race, we'll look at it. And then I don't know. Unless there's something to talk about and stay on, otherwise it seems like there's not a lot happening. How's the weather in Toronto? Somebody said earlier it's cold. Are you guys cold there? Impeachment is still on break as well. Very cold but sunny and hardly any snow. What's very cold? Because now that I'm living in Chicago, I've learned what cold is, and I've learned what very cold is. So what do you guys call very cold? And then I felt some things that are like that -5°C. So what is that in F? 30? Again, I'm not used to using Celsius, and also like dealing with these numbers that are so low. So it's like I have to do math. All right, let's look it up. I think we're colder right now where I'm at. You guys are 25 F. What is that in terms of C? Here, -5. It's currently here. Let's see. We're currently -6. -6 with a snow shower. You are 23F feels like 12F. Yeah, that's way pulling up the weather right now. Where we are right now, it's in Celsius. -5 / feels like -13. I've been outside already. There was a morning last week. My dog has been enjoying the snow. I think he's so much happier here than in Arizona. He was not a fan of the heat at all, which I think that's fair. But just with the snow, he's like, "Oh, this is so cool. This is so fun." And then last week it got really cold. We were in this minus area, much colder than it is right now. It was 4 felt like -20. I remember that because I'm a dork and I'm like, oh, 420, huh? That's funny. But yeah, it was so cold. He goes outside and instantly starts shivering. I'm like, I've never seen this dog do that before. And that was with the sweater and boots, all that stuff. So yeah, that's the difference between it's turning cold versus very cold. And now I own jackets, parkas, and it's this is a cold jacket, and this is just a regular cold jacket. Totally different. It's a balmy 33 in New Jersey. We got a couple inches of snow this morning. Your dog loves it too? Yeah. It's so funny. I mean, I have a greyhound. So he was born in Kansas. That's where most of the greyhounds are. And then ended up racing at Tri-State, which is West Virginia. And then, all the tracks work with the adoption. So they're like, all right, West Virginia dogs, go to Phoenix. And so I adopted him in June. So I don't even know what he was like, what in the hell is this? Like, I was in the snow. That was fun. It was cold. Now I'm like, can't go outside. This is crazy. The ground is like lava. Um, so I would love, like, I mean, the other thing about having a greyhound is I can't, and I'm in an apartment, I don't have a backyard. So I can't like let him like go run, but he like really wants to go like run in the snow. So he's too he's too he's too stubborn where he will like just run off. And that could be that. All right. So from the first race, the second race, the two ended up breaking slow. So that was that. And then the rider kind of like, can't tell if it's the rider or the horse. I think it's a little bit of both. Like the horse just kind of resisting like a no handle, basically. Like not handling the track while he's inside. I think that's pretty much all the notes. I visited a friend in Kansas last winter and had a layover in Chicago. I hadn't felt cold like that in a long time. Yeah, oh my gosh. It's crazy because it's the weirdest thing where it's like, how could it be one number and then feels like another number? Like that like doesn't make sense to me. And you go outside and you're like, oh, you know what? I get it now because this feels like something I've like never felt before. Like that wind hits and it's just like it's chilling right away. So like I'll go out in the morning and like I've got, takes longer to put on all the gear than it does to like actually spend time outside. But by the time I like walk out the door, I'm like, okay, this isn't that bad. And within like a few minutes, I'm still warm because I've got a million freaking layers on, but I can start to feel the cold going in, like starting to like come through. So I'm like, this is cold. This has to be cold. And then I'm still like, I still know that I look like the Arizona person that just moved in Chicago. That's like wearing way too much stuff. But oh well, I can at least get away with that for the time being. Oh my god, 2 to 5 on this 4. No, the morning lines at Oaklawn are like not so good busy. I called out one of the morning lines in the circles and squares. Oh, is it the race is it Saturday? Shoot, it might be Saturday. Actually, it might be tomorrow. I forget. But one of them, it's like they have this horse at like 5 to 1 on the morning line, and there's just no way that horse is going to be 5 to 1. So I made a note that there's no way this horse is going to be 5 to 1 on the morning line, and the morning line needs to get it together. So that's no fun with this horse being that short. Now I'm trying to see where that was. Yeah, that's the second race tomorrow. There's a 5 to 1. You guys can take a look at it and let me know if I'm wrong. Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe they will. And again, we're talking the morning line, right? We're talking like how the public is going to react to the horses in the race, not, fair value. But you guys take a look at that and let me know if you think we have a horse that's going to be 5 to 1. I'm not going to, I pretty much already told you, but whatever. All right, so let's look at this third race here, and then it'll be a bounce. Yeah, a bunch of scratches later on. Okay. So again, the case of the 4 is pretty straightforward, where it just looks to have a pace advantage in this race. Even with the track playing fair, just looks like can get out in front. making the second start, was pressed last time out and no finish. It's a very slow pace, but again, was coming off the layoff, was against much tougher. The plot has these horses in relationship to each other. So I know, a lot of these horses are lightly raced. That could change, but at a price kind of seemed like it would make sense. The 3 and the 7 are both running for Tom Amis. His horses compared to how they've been running at fairgrounds just haven't been running like as well as they are there. So just kind of something that is worth keeping in mind. But the two was the morning line favorite, correct? 5-2. A horse that broke her maiden first time out at Indiana, fine that day. Even though she won by 6 lengths, it wasn't like an overly impressive win. Still a B, just needed to do what she needed to do to get done. And then it's just kind of like gone backwards a little bit, and just in terms of like, okay, I don't mind this move here. Like maiden 32 will protect her, run for a tag. But then it's like go to the turf. It's like, I don't know, kind of experimental. And now she's going to run for a tag. Could have some improvement, but, would have to. I mean, could just be on the slower side overall. As far as the 7, I mean, the 7 ran a strong figure, the top figure last time out. And again, keep in mind, an Amos horse at fairgrounds, they were running hot. But I think that's kind of important here. So broke slow, had a free trip, no lead. Let me see this extended comment. Still able to establish, even after that slow start, able to establish a free trip, tracking behind the duel with first run, taking over under a drive, going clear late. So the thing that's just kind of weird about this is, well, there's a couple things. Like one, just kind of fundamentally, it bothers me. Like she's needed over 2 months after the maiden win. Some recovery time, but this is on the excessive side. And then these are connections that are fairgrounds-based connections, like the ownership group. So the fact that they're running at Oaklawn is just kind of weird to me. Like, there's plenty of races that this horse can fit in at fairgrounds. So, I don't know, it just seemed weird. As far as the 8, I think the plot kind of represents her pretty well. She's slow, 50s and 60s. You can make maybe some projection. This is the first start back in 138 days. Maybe there's a move forward. But typically, when they're not showing, she raced 6 times as a juvenile, and there really wasn't, much improvement, right? She ran a 62 in her second start, and then the top was a 67. So to me, that's not a lot of improvement. So I think there's, could make the case there's improvement there, but I don't know. Kind of has to show it a little bit on the one pace side, shortening strides late behind the open length winner, whatever. I made the case for the 6 in terms of upside as well with her. Just kind of get an idea of the board here. It's currently 7-1. Just in terms of upside, because she spent most of her races in the special weight level, kind of had to deal with some off track, ran on turf first time out, didn't take much money, you can figure, okay, a prep, then goes 2 turns in the second start, showed a little bit of speed, pretty honest pace, in that perspective. 80 degrees here in Largo, Florida, yeah, rub it in. It's not even 80 degrees in my apartment right now. That's what I would normally set it at back in Phoenix. I'd be like, that's cool. That's a cool temperature. Yeah, so she's my ride. Second start, going 2 turns on the turf, again in special weight, and then comes back 7 days later. So it's a quick turnaround, a muddy track. A little bit of improvement there, actually. Wide from off the pace, moving inside late. There was an open length winner. The track was a little bit cuppy. So, like that improvement. Catches a yielding turf, going 2 turns. Those courses are kind of hit or miss. So, I'm not super harsh on that race. And then she runs for a tag. And this was I saved B, but this was like a good effort from her. The rider did a good job keeping her in contact with the field. She was inside behind pace setter. She had to show some grit. It was kind of tight inside. She had to kind of angle out, and split horses. I thought that was like a really sneaky good effort. And went off at almost 10-1 that day, but was 9-2. And also, I didn't think the inside was the best part of the track at Hawthorne. So I just think in terms of improving, her speed figure is also light, does have to move forward, but could, because we're making excuses for some of those other turf races, just from that perspective. So she was interesting in here. Mason starting to heat up a little bit. Let's see the other horses I did not mention in here. The number 2, I think she's currently 14-1. She's okay. This is a test here. Coming on this circuit. Didn't run well at Churchill first time out. That's special weight. That's fine. At Indiana Grand, I know these connections run really well at Indiana Grand, so just kind of had her in the right place there. Showed some improvement in her second. I'm going to technically call that a second start because where she belongs, but the third start, the allowance, the N2L. A little bit of improvement just in terms of speed figures. The top 2 ran 1-2 around the track that day. So just kind of minimal change in running order, and could just have a move forward with those being, summer 2-year-old figures. And then Ava Bell, coming back in 3 weeks, hard to kind of see upside off that race. Broberg has the pair in here, so maybe it's a switcheroo, but hard to kind of see that, and does have to stretch out a little bit from the inside, an inside draw versus an outside draw today. Kind of see where she is on the plot. Yeah, kind of in a chasing type mode. So, yeah, that was sort of how I saw the race, was kind of 4-6. But the 4 is like not interesting at 3-5. Oh my god. Oh no. 35 for the exacta. That's playable. That is playable. Can you guys hear the impeachment in the background? Or no? I'm not sure what the sounds like to you guys. It's pretty, no? Okay. It's pretty quiet for me, so I wouldn't imagine you guys could hear it. It's like literally kind of background noise. Very faint. I wouldn't have noticed if you didn't mention it. Okay. Yeah, like I said, it's pretty quiet. This is kind of a, if I wasn't doing the live stream, it would be on like a little bit louder, but this is pretty much like kind of my normal setup. It's just, if there's something like newsworthy going on or a podcast or something in the background, when I'm doing analysis in the morning, I either sit in quiet or listen to music, kind of depending on the mood. But in the afternoon, I can kind of handle having some background noise for playing races. Hi, Frost. Do you want to come say hi? I was talking about you earlier. Emily, in the chart above that says speed figures, do you consider that one of the most the more important things are not. In the chart above that says speed figures. Yeah, so I mean, yeah, absolutely. So what the V bars, the way that it's kind of presented here is it's again kind of in relationship to each other. So it kind of just helps do like a quick visual versus like looking like, you know, a number by number, if that makes sense. You can just kind of quickly look at it and be like, okay, the 4 and the 7 are the fastest horses in this field, in relationship to everybody else. A little bit of the 2, you know, the 6 and the 8 are below. The 3 is pretty below as well. So it just, again, it just gives you like a quick presentation to give you an idea as far as, you know, in relationship to each other, which horses are kind of faster and slower than one another. In terms of, do I consider that one of the most important things? I think there are 4 most important things. And I think sometimes you can, depending on the situation, you can highlight maybe one more than the other. So in this case, because we're dealing with the horses that are lightly raced and there's possible for improvement or regression, like with those races, I don't put that much, you know, stock into speed figures necessarily, because that could be in flux, right? Unless, you know, like I talked about a horse you know, like the 8, you know, who's had a lot of chances and just hasn't really run a fast race. I kind of have to I have to consider that being like she's just might be a slow horse. Okay, so that's number 1. We'll go back to the plot for this because everything is here. This is 4 important things, and I'm not like reinventing the wheel. This is like, you know, this is handicapping like 101. So speed, pace, right? So the plot, right? Using the plot or whatever you use to handicap pace, but is important. Like is and not pace can be weird. So it's in the sense of like, does this race set up for this horse in their particular running style? Not necessarily being like this horse is going to be exactly here and this and that. Like we saw in the last race, like the 2 was supposed to be forwardly placed, broke slow, game over, like, you know, done. But you just want to like look at a horse and be like, okay, like even in the case of the 6, right, from like a pace standpoint, I can look at the plot and go, all right, well, yeah, okay, the 4, based on the races that she's run, is probably the quickest to the first call, and she could be able to finish. But the 1, the 2, the 3, the 7, and the 8 are pretty close bunched together. And maybe those horses have to force to chase her. Or at least they kind of bunch up and get a little bit stressed together. So then, does that create a scenario where the 6 is just kind of like getting a free trip while all those horses are kind of stressed out and chasing each other and contesting the pace? That maybe the 6 can get the trip from off the pace. She looks, you know, from a plot standpoint, she's a circle in quad 4. That's not great. That's a very low percentage win spot. Let me pull up the quad percentage. Again, in relationship to each other. Terrible. You know, quad 4 circles, like, but I'm trying to like draw up a scenario that maybe, you know, especially with the improvement and whatnot, you know, can get a trip in this case. So speed, pace, class. Couple factors on that is, to me, I use the grades a lot. It's quick, it's efficient, but you can just kind of see like where the horses fit up. Now in this case, we don't have a lot of data as far as like where those horses belong in terms of class level, but like let's say the 4 was coming back in this allowance, the same allowance spot that she ran in last out, she'd be a toss. She'd probably not look like that on the plot, but just didn't show any run, was like not competitive. So class, you know, I use that. I think that helps. I think the optics figure range kind of help in terms of class. And then again, form. You know, you want to see horses that are in good form, that are improving, or at least staying the same. You know, that they're not regressing, that their form fits for the class, for the speed, you know, all that stuff. So you're dealing with form when you have, when you have layoffs. When you have second and third starts coming back, if they ran like a top last time out, and then they're coming back off that, and then stepping up in class. There's certain things that you wanna look for. So class, what else? Look at class earnings as well. 3 is on the track right now, being a little bit toey. So speed, class, what else did I talk about? Pace, yeah. Very nice explanation. Thank you. Yeah, I mean, I again, like I said, I mean, I'm not like inventing that. This is like when you're handicapping horses, these are the things, you should be looking for. And especially, I think, and I see this a lot, like people get away from that and they're like more drawn into like the trainer stats and these angles and like all that stuff. And it's like, that's cool. I mean, that stuff has a purpose, it has a place or whatever. But if you don't have a horse that's fast enough, you don't have a horse that's classy enough, you don't have a horse that's in form, you don't have a horse that can get the right pace, hopefully I didn't just repeat myself, then it doesn't matter what the angles are. Like the horse just doesn't fit, like, so you've got to go through those elements first, and then you can start going like, all right, is the trainer hot or cold? Is that going to impact on what's happening today? Here's a change. The trainer's kind of good with that change. Maybe, along with the improvement, and I can kind of see the race. I can kind of make the case. I see where they're going, like a keyword like plotty, for example, and then a trainer adds blinkers and they're good adding the blinkers. You're like, all right, that makes sense. I can see why this trainer is adding blinkers on this particular horse. And this is probably a scenario that they win with this horse. So yeah, I mean, I think all that stuff is important. I think in certain categories you can prioritize one over the other in that case. All right, so we're heading in the game. All right. Yeah. So I'm gonna end the stream after this race. And then I'll see what's going on tomorrow. Just in terms of if all the work gets done, these tracks are gonna run, and then try to put a schedule together for Saturday as well. We'll see how the fairgrounds, how that weather stays cooperative in New Orleans. Frost, you gonna watch this race? You gonna root on this 6? 6 broke slow. That's no good. And the PPs with optics, does it show each horse's PP, what grid they were successful at? Yeah, you can filter that out. Let's watch this race. I'll show you in a second. And hopefully I think I know what you're asking. So the 2 was actually able to clear out in front of the 4. But the 4 is kind of sitting there, kind of tracking. Slog on the 6. The 8 being wide. Chasing inside. Seven starting to move a little bit. I mean, 4 is getting a trip, kind of no excuse. 6 is kind of starting to run, but has a lot to do. 3 could be a threat. 4 is holding. barely by a thread. There it is. I think that's that. All right, so in the PPs with optics that show each horse's PP, what grid they were successful at. Like in terms of, let's pick a better, let's go back to the second race. Just because I want to make sure that I'm understanding this question. Like where the horses won, like what their conditions were. So like right here, I mean, for the finishing position, I can type in 1, and then I can see where all those horses that, wherever they've won a race. Why is that doing that? Why is it pulling in? That'll be annoying. All right. Yeah, where every horse has won. And then I can kind of see how they won, if that's kind of where you're asking. And then sometimes too, I think this is useful information. Scroll over a little bit. You can see the kind of the race shapes that they won in. You know, how their run style was, and then also in terms of like what kind of plot fit they like. Is that what you're asking, or am I misunderstanding? But I use this information quite a bit. I don't always use winning races. Sometimes I'll just use a grade. Because I want to see where horses have run good races, but sometimes they don't always win. You know what I mean? Sometimes horses run winning races. We've seen this plenty of times as horse players, where they probably should have won, but they didn't. So I want to see just like kind of all the conditions in which they've won. And then this is, you know, again, I use the second race, so we have a lot of data. There's like 8-year-old mares in here and stuff. So you can condense this in terms of a time frame as well. Like in the last year, you know, how has this horse, you know, run good races? What were those type of conditions? You know, that type of stuff. That answers it? Okay, I just want to make sure that's right. Anything else before I end the stream? Or should we, you know, call it a day? Still not bad. An hour and 20 for the stream. Yeah, I appreciate it. We actually had a, you know, good chat today. That's only 3 races. Not much action. I'm down a couple bucks here, just messing around. But yeah, yeah, we'll see about tomorrow. Definitely Saturday for sure at the fairgrounds. Post a time and all that good stuff. All right, you guys, thank you so much for jumping in. If you haven't followed already, make sure you do so. That way, if I do kind of jump in live and you don't have to be on Twitter, this is a lot of fun, really, very informative stuff. I'm glad you finally could too, Sean. Yeah, definitely. Thank you, guys. Yeah, John, I'm glad you jumped in too. You know, it's fun. So, Saturday, for sure. I'm just not sure of the schedule yet. Gino should be on. Hopefully, you know, get a couple tracks in there, get some action, and like cash some tickets. All right, guys. We'll talk soon.